The Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix of Lime Rock Park, powered by M. It is time for the fifth round of the Pirelli World Challenge Touring Car Championships at one of America's most historical and revered racetracks, the Bull Ring, that is Lime Rock Park. It's a bull ring for road racers. It is a spectacular afternoon, warm, humidity building just a little bit, all adding to the challenge of this great facility. Hi, everybody. Greg Kramer along with Calvin Fish, and we are getting ready to go racing, and it is Pirelli World Challenge Touring Car action, round 5. And, of course, it's a class that in its various forms has been with Pirelli World Challenge for most of its 29-year existence. And for a lot of people, it is how racing should be. And looking forward to this one, Cal. It's been a fascinating opening 4 rounds of the championship. 2 of them at Circuit of the Americas, the next 2 at VIR. And if this is anything to go by, it should be spectacular. It's fierce racing. That's what touring car is known for.
Well, it's an intense class, and when you add this racetrack to that mix, it certainly makes it really dramatic here for the upcoming race. Lots of storylines to chew on during the course of this one, but getting the setup right is so critical around this racetrack. You're predominantly turning right. You got that one left-hander, which you can't just throw away the turn. You got to set up to get onto that no-name straightaway, which is critical to your lap time as well. But experience counts, and we're seeing some guys really coming to the front who have a lot of track time here.
And not a lot of downforce aero in this category of racing. It's about mechanical grip. It is about driver skill. This is a class where you can hustle a car. You can make a difference in it. I think that's one of the reasons it's so compelling.
I think you can, certainly, and also because there's not a lot of downforce to these cars, it allows them to follow very closely,
Exactly.
So it should make for some great racing here this afternoon when we get into it.
Now, we're having temperatures just continuing to build, looking at a high in the upper 80s today. I'm guessing from what it feels like outside, we're in the 80s easily now, and we could feel that humidity building. What kind of effect is that going to have? I mean, 40-minute race, drivers ought to be able to handle it, but it does have effect on tires, on engines, etc.
Yeah, certainly your cooling. I mean, it's the warmest weekend we've experienced so far in this championship season, so any cars that do have some close calls in terms of keeping the engines in their operating temperatures. Jeff Rieker comes to mind in terms of he had to make a lot of changes during the offseason to make sure they got the right cooling to that Genesis. So this will certainly be a test bed for that this afternoon.
And also a change from last year for the Nissans that run in this championship, always very fast, but they were prone to some overheating. They've done some changes to the hoods on top of that engine to help vent out heat, right?
Yep, for sure. And again, everyone keeps tweaking within the regulations. Obviously, these updates have to be approved, but they keep tweaking on it to make sure that the cars are reliable for a championship season. Every racetrack has its nuances, and this is certainly very unique in terms of the setup that will give you the lap time here as we look at it here down that no-name straightaway. It's not really straight. Only straight parts to this circuit other than the front straightaway, the San Posey straight, but unique facility, beautiful. There's nothing like getting off the plane here in Hartford and driving up through the scenic countryside, and when you come into this park, it's something special. It
truly is. Utilizing the traditional uphill, not the climbing S, as I like to call it, the alternate uphill, but utilizing the original traditional one. This is the diving turn, and this is the breathtaking turn for a lot of people here.
It really is, and you have to give your competitor a little bit of respect in this particular corner because there's not much runoff area there. This is another old-school track. We keep visiting them like VIR, like CTMP. This is in the same vein. There's not a lot of runoff area, so that makes it very critical that you don't make a mistake and certainly no argy-bargy through the downhill because that typically ends up what we're looking at track right as we look at it. Not very good news.
No, not at all. And 2 things happen. You either go off on driver's left, as you said, or you spear back across. Either one of them never ends too well. That's for sure. And on this Memorial Day weekend, and we're back to the long-held, for a long time, traditional version of Friday, Saturday, Monday. And there is a huge crowd here on the infield. And give a little plug here. You see that LimeRockClub.com? They have created their own version of a motorsports club here where you can buy membership and you get track access and the like. We see a lot of tracks leaning that way now. And you buy into a membership and you get an opportunity to do some lapping at the track as a member, which changes the dynamic just a little bit. And any time you can spend on this track, I think people just love it.
They do, and it's relatively inexpensive to be able to experience Lime Rock Park for yourselves as opposed to just coming and spectating, as we see a lot of fans there on the hilly slopes here. Just great viewing areas, and it's a really special time of the year here, Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, part of the Memorial Day global racing activities here. We talked about that a little bit earlier today, but you know, we're going to have Monaco, then Indy, Charlotte, the longest race in NASCAR racing, and of course the big race here. And I mean, look at that shot, Sam Posey straight. That's about as pretty as it gets.
Yeah, it's very special, very unique, and the track has done a wonderful job of updating the facilities for both the competitor and the fans. Yet it remains with the historic nature of the circuit. Lots of nostalgia here, of course, and you see that. It's pretty cool. One of the first tracks I came to when I moved to the States back in 1984 was here, and I was based down in Texas, and I've been going to racetracks in Louisiana and such, and I came up here, and it was like a breath of fresh air, literally. It was really special.
Yeah, it is. It's something else. And you think about it, it was actually created and built in 1956, first race in 57, and that makes it, along with, I think, Road America and Watkins Glen, too, you know, the three longest running tracks. And it held a race here that many consider to be just sort of a moment that created road racing success and interest in the U.S. with that Formula Libre race, run by a driver in a roadster, an Indy Roadster type of car, sprint car. So they've had it all here. They've had amazing stuff unfold here. And, you know, you talk a lot about Sam Posey. I think he was the guy that was the first to crack the minute mark here, and so connected, and actually has designed most of the structures, the new structures here. And there's a guy who has different designs. He wants a championship, and he's got an opportunity today.
He does. He'll be starting from the pole. BMW is very strong here. Lots of support from BMW this weekend. So special time. Be 3 BMWs leading the field to green. And for Carl Whitmer, he's hoping to try and chase down Vesko Kozarov in this championship. He's 8 points behind as we start the day, but that could be a lot slimmer by the end of the day if he's able to bring home a victory.
Yeah, one of the big stories here this week in the way that it's unfolding today, this Saturday, it's all touring car racing with some GT practice and qualifying thrown in. Monday will be all GT. But the dynamic here means that we're holding 2 races in each of these categories on the same day. So you've got to go out, you've got to race hard, you've got to earn your points, but you have to have a car at the end of it that can start another race in just a few hours.
Yeah, you're going to think about any move you make that may have some risk to it because you want to be around for the green flag for race 2. So you've got to factor that in, particularly the championship contenders. They can't afford to get too aggressive and not only affect this race, but the one that's in a few hours' time as well.
You just saw a shot of the beautiful BMW X5 provided by the folks at BMW as our medical response vehicle. We appreciate that as well, as they are also providing our pace and safety vehicle, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. There's the beautiful tower here, designed by Sam Posey himself. Gino Carini joining us down in the pits for the races today. Let's get down to Gino as we've got a special moment coming up.
Welcome, race fans, to the Grand Prix at Lime Rock Park, sponsored by Pirelli of North America and Pirelli World Challenge. Here to give us the most famous words in motorsports is the Motorsports Director for BMW of North America, Victor Lelou.
Drivers, start your engines.
Victor likes the noise behind him.
He
3
sure
BMWs
does.
firing up first.
That worked out well, didn't it? Again, big thanks to BMW for their support of this weekend. And here we go. Field starting to move. They'll have 2 formation laps, 2 pace laps, if you will, and then we go racing. The race later this afternoon will be a standing start. This one will be rolling indeed. And as you see that pace car leading the field out, it is the new BMW M4 CS. Will be released to the public in July. And there is a taste of what you'll be able to purchase at that time. Pretty remarkable car. It's the 3rd special model derived off of the current generation BMW M3, M4. And really drives strictly off of the M4 with the competition package, but they've added technical solutions, sharpened the driving dynamics. The performance is unbelievable. 453 horsepower, 0 to 60, 3.7 seconds, 65 pounds less than the M4 Coupe with the competition package. Lots of carbon fiber to keep it light and responsive. It's a nice vehicle.
It's a sweet ride, and it's a pretty color. Lime Rock Gray,
like
as
it.
Victor told me this week, is what the color is. And there you see those BMW M4s right behind him on the grid, leading the way.
Yeah, let's get to our Pirelli storylines. I think the first one has got to be front runner stumbles here.
Yeah, when you look at Vesko Kozrov, he's got the championship lead. Didn't have a brilliant VIR, but he's lined up 4th on the grid. But the guy who really was giving him a hard time, they actually had contact that day, was Johann Schwartz, who's had a very strong start to his season. He'll line up in the 9th position. He's got a lot of work to do this afternoon.
And a second Pirelli storyline for the touring cars, BMW M strong.
They are very strong, and it's led by Carl Whitmer. He sits 2nd in the points to Vesko Kozrov, 8 points behind, and with Vesko on the 2nd row of the grid, good chance to make up a bundle here today, so he's going to be pushing hard for that first win of the year.
And we always have developments after qualifying. Gino, what have you been hearing?
Well, I think I've been hearing the same thing you guys have, and there's been a lot of developments. John Weisberger had the provisional pole yesterday, but lost it in tech to a fuel issue, which puts Carl Whitmer on the pole and his teammate Matt Travis sitting next to him in the 2nd position. Matt Travis hit the wall in the last lap of qualifying yesterday, but sits on the front row as the classic BMW guys will be fighting for a win together.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting because they haven't had any kind of a warm-up, Cal, so Travis is going to be taking the green flag here and not be absolutely positive what kind of race car he's got.
No, that's for sure, and he went out there, just 2 minutes left on the clock, went out and just got a little bit wrong and tore out the left front suspension, so he'll be feeling out now these first couple of pace laps just to see how the car feels. I mean, the technology today, Greg, is pretty strong. These teams are so good at putting cars back together. And hopefully he'll have a strong race here from the front row of the grid.
Well, in classic BMW, they have a fleet here, so they always have enough parts and the like and run an absolutely superb team. Just saw there
the Drift King.
Johan, the Drift King, you're right, just doing everything he can to get some heat built into those rears and the fronts as we get ready to go racing here. Lights out on the BMW M4 CS. So we're going to be pairing up side by side, getting ready to go here. 40 minutes of action here in the touring car division. It's a good-looking front row. I'm sure the classic BMW photographer out there is firing off a lot of shots. That's a nice one.
It's a pretty sight. And look for Johann Schwartz. He knows it's tough to pass around this racetrack, so he'll be trying to make some moves. But again, factoring in double-header day, can't afford to get too aggressive and throw away the whole weekend.
All right, pace car's made good its escape. And that means the pole sitter, Carl Whitmer, has to keep the field at about 55 miles an hour until they see green. We are down through the diving turn onto the front straight. On the inside of that 2nd row, Robert Nimkoff, the Auto Technique BMW. And alongside, as you pointed out, Vesko Kozrov. Watch for it. Green flag. We are racing at Lime Rock Park. It looks like Carl down to the inside did what he needed to do. Nimkoff showing the nose. Carl giving him no room. And look at Travis.
Takes it in really deep. He's out in the gray there. Is he going to get the grip there with the tires? Probably not right up to their operating temperature. But a nice job by the Classic boys. Oh, look at that. Vesko dropped some wheels there. Pretty feisty there, exiting turn 2.
Look at Jeff Rika in the Gen Racer Genesis Coupe. Almost a moment with Paul Terry. Oh, and a touch!
Wow, Terry had a disastrous VIR with numerous incidents there, and his weekend starts the same way here at Lime Rock, unfortunately.
Yeah, here it was turn 3, though, not turn 1. But Whitmer leads now the classic BMW 1-2 with Nimkoff 3rd for Auto Technique in the BMW. And then Kozrov, and that bit of a moment behind has given these 4, Cal, a huge break.
It really has, so Vesko can just focus on hitting his marks right now and seeing what those BMWs have. They certainly had pace in qualifying. Vesko was digging deep, but he was about 3/10 off, so we'll see how this factors into their lap times in the early going. Side by side between Travis and Nimkoff there.
Nimkoff thinking about the over-under, and Travis read it. It just sort of drifted over in front, exiting Big Ben, now into the left-hander. Like Kozrov for a minute there, Cal. Well, he's going to go for it.
To the inside. This was inside of Nimkoff. He's going to have to get up on the curb. Nimkoff gets the power down and keeps the position now.
That was a nice piece of driving. He gave it to go, Kozrov did. Realized Nimkoff was going to stay there, gave him the racing room. Didn't just track out. It lives to fight another day. And look who has suddenly closed up on this group. Johann Schwartz.
Yeah, brilliant couple of laps there for Johann from 9th on the grid all the way up into the top 5 early. Made the move on Streamer, who had a brilliant VIR with a runner-up finish and a victory that day. And for Johann, I think he didn't get the setup quite right in qualifying, made some tweaks to it, looking stronger here in race trim.
Yeah, absolutely, having a good early go. Looks to the inside, Kozrov. I don't know, Cal. Johann made that move, and Kozrov got it turned across on him there. And you just can't react to a driver's making a move behind you And that was close enough to turn in. I think that they would probably overlook that. And there's Steve Streamer, who had a great race at VIR.
Loose there. He's trying to get out of that left-hander and get all the way back over to the left to set up for that right-hander here on a no-name, and got a little twitch there in the back, so probably asking too much of the car to be able to transition that quickly. Jeff Rieger has been putting the pressure on him, but look at this battle for second with Nimkov now putting the pressure on Travis.
Made that little juke over to the right more, I think, just to get in Travis's mirrors. It's a tough place to get inside of West Bend and actually make that work. And down the hill we go. These laps come at you in furious pace.
BMW 1-2-3. Johann Schwartz wants to make it a BMW 1-2-3-4 as he's putting the pressure on Vesko Kozarov, our championship leader right now. Nimkov really rolling speed there in the big bend.
And as is Schwartz around the outside.
Slight touch there. There was a little graze there. Remember, they had contact at VIR that didn't work out well for either one. Kozarov went for a ride that day, and Schwartz got the penalty.
And Streamer just did a complete rim shot of the left-hander, and that let Rika through in the Generacer Genesis Coupe. So Streamer slips back one spot in the Tech Sport Nissan.
I'm sure after that victory, suddenly your goals change, Greg, in terms of just competing, looking for a podium. You get a win, you expect to do it every time. It's like hitting a hole-in-one in golf. You get to the next par three, you expect it to go in the cup.
And he had said after that win, he said, I came in hoping for a top 5. I would have been delighted with a podium and to get a win. He said, I'm just over the moon. And now he knows what he is capable of.
Look at this battling, though, as allowed Whitmer just to check out up front. Exactly what he wants. He can just really run the big radius through the corners, not abuse the tires.
Nimkov again floats it in.
He's just trying to get right on that hip, so as you come out of this second part of Big Bend, you're alongside. He can't quite get there, and when he does that, that allows Vesko to make a move on him. But look at this, Rika now putting a move on Schwartz there, trying to take advantage as they're jockeying the position. Oh, Schwartz is wide, he's in the gray. Rika's going to get a run on him.
Yeah, he had to react and everything that was going on in front, and he just had to open the door up and actually draw. Oh, and Rika, big wiggle heading into the climbing turn. Got away with it, Cal.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he got touched there in the left rear corner. I think Schwartz was in no man's land there, had to turn into the corner. I'm not sure if there was a touch or whether Jeff just took it deep in on the brakes to maintain the position.
Down the hill we go. There's Rika, and that's burgundy and white Genesis Coupe with Schwartz right behind him. You see the big WV on the door of Johann Schwartz's car from West Virginia, the Mountaineers, and he's got a couple of students from the mechanical engineering department that are part of the crew, working with them, getting some real-world experience on car setup and the like. One of them also apparently not satisfied with mechanical engineering degree, is also going after aerospace engineering. Great lads. Alongside crew chief Eric. He does a fabulous job.
Yes, a nice little team, and great to see that support for Johann. And the main change that they were looking for since qualifying is trying to get the power down better, but he's actually got the fastest lap of this race so far. And again, your fast lap here today sets up your grid position for race 2. That was tight.
Weisberg, that Redcom Labs Berg Racing Mazda MX-5, trying to work his way up through the pack. He's gone up and around the 27 of Jason Clooney, and that now has him up into the top 10. Got a bit of a ground now he's got to try and make up. He's got to get by the 0-2 would be the next guy of Sarah, and then trying to get after Streamer at this stage.
And he's only done a couple of rounds of the championship this year. He's just very busy, lots of commitments elsewhere, so he's running here and at Watkins Glen at the end of the championship season. Loves this racetrack, millions of miles. Raced here for the first time back in '91, and he won that day in a Volkswagen Rabbit, and that really just set the tone for loving this racetrack.
Yep, a New Yorker, so here in the Glen are the two closest big tracks. Anthony Serra, too, same story out of West Salem, New York, is just making a couple of appearances here. Oh, and Weisberg this time again looks to the inside of Serra. Just can't get quite up enough along the inside to make that stick.
So tough. This is the fastest guy in qualifying. Got pushed to the back at a fuel infraction where the footprint, they actually, fingerprint should I say, of the fuel makeup was taken. It didn't quite match what the series were looking for. He'd been running in a different championship and may have had some of the other fuel in the line. So disappointment at the end of qualifying after a great run. He was stoked after qualifying and got that news later in the day.
Yeah, he was just heartbroken, and it doesn't take much. It's just left in the lines enough to taint the footprint, as you said, and a rule's a rule, and that's just how it plays out. And he was there at the tech department early saying, look, I want to do another test. I want to make sure my lines are flush. I don't want this to happen again. And so very aware of what he needed to do. And up front, Carl Whitmer in the number 91 Classic BMW had that margin up to about a second. It's been whittled back a little bit. Travis has now closed that up a little bit as he's drawn away from Nimkov.
Yeah, it really has, and some of this may just be time management by Whitmer, not wanting to take too much out of those Pirelli P0s if we do get a long green flag run here. 40-minute race, but even so, look at this. Vesco looking to the inside. Nimkov takes it in super deep up and over the curb, and our championship leader up to third momentarily. Nimkov coming back at him and clears him.
Enrica almost thought about trying to stick the nose down, but that would have been almost identical to what happened to Vesco at VIR when the guy made the move, and then Johan tried to square up and go underneath, and he turned across. Enrica realized he wasn't close enough and checked up big time there. But at the top of the show, we were sort of speculating as to Matt Travis after the wreck at the end of qualifying and no warm-up here, what kind of car he may have. Gino, it certainly looks like he's got a good one.
Yeah, Craig, it's unbelievable. These guys worked all night long after Matt stuffed into the wall. They set it up, they aligned it. They didn't test a thing on the car. Put him in the second pole position, and he's standing his ground, fighting for that second position. And it looks like he's almost challenging for the lead. He's doing great.
Absolutely. We've watched him. He's eased away from Nimkov and has put in a couple of really stout laps, and indeed has closed up on the back of leader Whitmer at this stage. In his last lap, 58.14, his best one, Cal, 58.15, and his best one, 58.13. He's not only throwing down quick laps, he's doing it lap after lap.
Yeah, and he's kind of edging into that lead that his teammate has by about 0.2 of a second per lap. The key is going to be when he gets to Whitmer, does the car then respond to that challenge? But look at the battling out for the final podium spot. That is intense behind these two BMWs.
It is indeed, and the back of that queue is Johan Schwartz. There, he takes a look, got a run on the climbing turn, seeing if he can get underneath Rika. We'll watch him as they come down the hill. Nope, couldn't get it quite done.
This racetrack will frustrate you. It is so difficult to pass around here. So much momentum needed, and if you try to make a move, you don't make it stick, you're then going to spend a lap or two catching back up. We saw that with Weisberg. We're seeing it with Johan Schwartz a little bit. As once again, Kozrov down this front straightaway looks to the inside of Nimkov, not as far alongside. Nimkov lets the car out there, just tries to set up for the second bite of the apex there in Big Bend.
So one thing on this track, where you place the car, you can do an incredible job of frustrating the bejesus out of the people behind you.
You can, and sometimes it looks like you're opening up the door, but then suddenly you come back to the apex, and that's where we can see some contact. And if you've already put your nose in there, you got to get out of the gas. And when you're in a gaggle of cars, suddenly the guy behind you is going to be making moves on you. So it's a chess game, as we keep saying here. It's got to be ahead of it.
And when you've got cars that are this equal in terms of performance, and you get that sudden loss of momentum where you have to breathe it in a very quick part of the track, it takes you forever to get it back. Oh, Johan Schwartz swinging way down to the inside.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that's all about in terms of whether he's just trying to get clean air to the front end of that car, whether he's a bit tight on temperatures or something, or whether he's just trying to get out of the side view mirror zone of Rika and surprise him down into the brake zone. Sometimes if you literally get, 3 lanes over, where'd he go?
They can't see it.
it.
I think that's a distinct possibility, but as you mentioned, with the temperature at this stage of the day, you stay right up behind somebody and you've got high heat and humidity levels, you can see your engine temps just skyrocket.
Yeah, they're just running in a pack right now, so certainly going to exaggerate that situation if that is the case. Traffic going to be a factor here.
Coming up on the back of Terry. And also the back of Steve Bottom, and Steve getting way out of the way, letting these guys come up and through. And here comes Vesco alongside Nimkov again. And Nimkov is okay with just letting that, sort of heading into that turn mid-track, letting it float a little bit. Oh, here we go.
He's looking. He's trying to find a way. But it takes laps. You got to be subtle with it. You can't do any abrupt moves because that's going to just lose you momentum. You just need to slide down the inside and surprise someone and just figure it out. He's got a long way to go in this race. Oh, what's going on with Kozrov? Really slow there, over slow to apex. Does he have a technical issue or just got a little bit wrong there on the approach to the uphill?
I wonder if he thought that Steve Bottom was going to turn
back,
in, and he got up in that curb and just lit the brakes up, thinking there was going to be some contact, and that's that momentum kill we were talking about. He's lost 2 spots.
Yeah, that was huge. Very strange. Just looked like he parked it right on the apex, and it wasn't that close. It wasn't like Bottom was suddenly coming back towards the corner even. You have to think that Johann Schwartz, he was so frustrated after the race at VIR when he had to visit the stewards room. You see, and we talk about getting the power down. You see the rear end of that 80 machine is still a little bit loose out of Big Bend. And he'll be thinking about, you know, the move that I made at VIR, probably put my nose in somewhere where it shouldn't have been, knowing that Vesco was going to come back towards the corner and ended up contacting, getting the penalty.
And I think it'll frustrate him. It frustrated him on a couple of levels. One, obviously, it was costly in terms of points and the like, and also, he just doesn't generally do that, make that kind of mistake. And
he's a smart driver. He's always thinking. And but this racetrack will frustrate you. I saw him frustrated in qualifying. He got stuck behind another car, couldn't get a clear lap, went back out or had another crack at it, backed off, had another go at it, but couldn't really generate any real lap time. So that's why he got mired in the pack after qualifying.
Let's see, you can see Vesco way down to the inside as he exited the diving turn, and that's fine. You can make that move as long as you're the one making it first. And Johan just followed, and then he tried to pop to the outside, but Vesco knew that was coming.
As for Schwartz, he's got the fastest lap of the race by a fair margin right now, and no one's really running lap times anything close to what he ran early in the going at a 57.2. The leader's running in the 58s right now, so that could be safe. Obviously, the fuel load burns off as you get through this race. The car's a little bit lighter. Performance-wise, it should be a bit better. But then you're factoring that against a downward trend of the tire performance with some tire deg.
And a qualifying session on them, too, isn't it? They still do that in this category, don't they?
I believe you're able to choose which year you have an allotment for the weekend. You can then choose how you want to use them for the weekend.
It gives them a few more options.
And I think that's why you see guys going back out like Travis yesterday.
Right.
Because throw some stickers at it for the race.
Boy, talk about being frustrated. You've got to think right now, John Weisberg, he has been behind Anthony Serra for a very long time, trying to square it here.
Nice. That was nice.
Yeah.
That should be good. You can just hang with him. BMW performance is really strong there, but Weisberg has the inside line. Takes it. Nice.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he needed to do. Just take the line a little away.
But for Serra, that just getting opened up like that, and Clooney just jumped down the inside and made that stick.
Well, that's the problem. If you get too aggressive in trying to make a move for position from behind and you don't make it stick, you lose momentum. And if you get too aggressive in defending, that also affects your momentum. So, thinking man's game here this afternoon.
Well, and you might think that if anybody's going to challenge Johann Schwartz's fast lap right now, it might be Weisberg with that clear piece of track.
For sure, but look at this battle for the podium. Nimkov's backed up a little bit. Rika's right with him. That's allowed Kozrov and Schwartz to close in at the same time as Vesco. I think he used all of the tricks in the book, just dropping wheels there. I think probably intentionally just to throw some dirt on Johann's windshield.
And looking at Nimkov, as we said, he's just dropped off at Travis a little bit, but he's in a great battle, Gino, with Jeff Rika. What are we hearing from Nimkov's crew?
Well, I'm sitting here with Rob Driscoll, the team manager for Auto Technic. He's telling me, well, hell, I'll let you tell us. How's he doing out there?
So far, so good. You know, we're in third place right now. We had a good fight from Kozrov early, and now we've got Jeff Rika right on our bumper. So, you know, he's out there now side by side. So we're right in the middle of it. We're hoping for a good result.
So let me ask you this. What is the plan going forward? I know the Hyundai is right on him. What's the plan moving forward to the end of the race?
You know, it's a long race. We got to manage our tires to get to the end. Right now we're about halfway through, doing well. So we're going to hold our position and hope for the best.
Outstanding. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, and he's doing just that, Gino, right? Just absolutely putting his car in every spot that it needs to be to dissuade Rika from trying anything. And, of course, what that's doing is allowing Kozarov to start to fill Rika's mirrors. And he just was able to, Nimkov was, as a result, pick up about 3-4 car lengths, give himself a little bit of a safety margin. As I think Rika now a little bit more preoccupied, Cal, with the gentleman on his 6, Kozarov.
Yep, it's the ebbs and flows of this race, and every lap can change the scenarios. Now Rika moves all the way to the inside, being proactive there and choosing his line to defend from Kozarov, our championship leader. Big race for Jeff Rika. They're based in Milford, Connecticut. It's a little bit of a racing hotbed over there. Lots of race prep shops over in that area, so I'm sure there's a lot of fans and support here for this Gen Racing machine this weekend.
Watching up front, I saw Whitmer coming up in the back of Terry, and he moved way over to try and get in Terry's mirrors as he headed into Big Bend. And I don't think Terry saw him, and it might be an opportunity for Travis. He was only 3/4 of a second adrift when they went by start-finish that time. I bet you it's going to be a bit closer this time, unless he gets hung up.
That's commitment. That is cool. He was flying here. He's the fastest guy on the racetrack right now, but still about 6/10 shy of Schwartz's fastest lap. But right now, he'd be up on the first couple of rows, but if he can dig deeper and find a couple of tenths, that'll move him on the front row for tomorrow, and it could be a different story if he has track position.
And he has fairly quickly dispensed with the 27 of Clooney, as he just is hammering it down into Big Bend, trying to make up any ground he can and get that lap. Through Big Bend here into the left-hander.
Loves this racetrack, millions of miles, not literally, but
yeah,
he just knows it so well. Oh, look at that slide. Oh, that's a big catch. That's a big one. Woo, he is committed.
That was dancing on the edge of an off.
Yep.
Obviously, that's going to kill that lap if he had a good one going otherwise. You can hear that getting light up and over the uphill.
That was a cool sound effect right there. He is on it. He's trying to dig deep and get that car on the front row for tomorrow.
And he was still a little loaded on the left when that came over the crest right there, and you can see the car give a little wiggle. I mean, it's when you're pushing that hard. Yeah, and here's what I'm talking about. Look at that margin now. It's Travis down. It's down to a couple of car lengths now to Whitmer, because I think Whitmer struggled to find a way by Terry.
I think Travis' car is strong, and I think that's why he went back out late yesterday to have another crack at it. He thought that he could get on the front row, which then ultimately it would have been a battle for pole with Weisberg getting pushed to the back. But he's got a lot of confidence, and typically when a driver's had a good qualifying run up in the top 3, you're just going to settle on that. He obviously felt, no, I can go out there and improve. So he's got confidence this weekend, and despite the off at the end of qualifying, he's been up on the wheel here today.
It's going to be an interesting story to tell in the future when he's chatting about his race at Lime Rock. And he said, yeah, I was third, thought I could get in the front row, went out, walled it, and did.
Yeah.
And there's Terry once again. He's got this angry pack coming up on him. This is going to be really intriguing to see how this plays out when they get to Terry.
Oh, Rika there. Stuffs it down to the inside. Nimkov keeps opening up the car there right through the middle of Big Bend, and Rika was trying to fill it.
It takes a lot of discipline, I would think, by Nimkov to keep opening that up through there, knowing it'll get him around the corner quicker, but knowing somebody could come and stuff it up the inside and maybe tap you.
You assume he's watching.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes ignorance is bliss.
Oh, I thought for a minute Vesco, I think he thought about getting underneath Rika, and Rika just carried a ton of speed into the uphill.
Vesco occasionally just doesn't seem to get through the uphill quite as quick, so maybe he's just fighting the car a little bit. It looks balanced. I don't see any big understeer or loose condition as he's going through the uphill, but just seems to not quite carry the apex speed of some of the other cars.
And again, Nimkov defends. Rika tucks in for a minute, then pops out. Here's where Nimkov opens it up. Not as much that time.
I think his crew would be telling him, even if he's not seeing it or feeling it. That's the whole thing about racing, Brett. You don't, as you know, you don't necessarily have to see it in your rearview mirrors. You can feel where your competitor is. That's where the racecraft comes in.
Yeah, the good ones have that sixth sense. They can just kind of intuitively know what's happening around them and place the car accordingly.
See right there, it just looks like Kozrov loses just a few feet there, right at apex.
Rika got a big chunk of that curb.
Some of it could be the gearing, you know, just where he is in terms of the speed through that corner. Just maybe the engine's not right in its power curve as he climbs the hill.
Oh, Rika is so close to Nimkov this time. Looks to that outside move. Tries, yep, not there. You just get to that part of the apex right there, and if you've run that little wider line, you're just carrying a little more speed.
Yep, that's for sure. Got done a really nice job here. This would be a brilliant podium if he can hang on to it.
And it's just, I think one of the ironies of this season is how often Kozarov and Schwartz find each other on the racetrack, whether it's for the lead or whether it's for 7th or 6th.
Yep.
They're there.
You learn each other's tendencies over a championship season. You know how aggressive the other person is, whether you're defending the position or you're going for it. And it's pretty cool stuff. That's what racing's all about. Rivalries are great.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Makes it exciting. And then you have where you get that little bit of a random variable thrown in when somebody locally comes in that you don't normally race with. And it's like, all right, just what can I do when I'm running close quarters with him?
He's just got to handle this traffic.
You know, Terry's showing some pretty good speed. It's taken this group a long time to get to him.
Well, he started the year with the podium runner.
Exactly.
Now look at this. Kozrov up on the curb. Ken Schwartz take advantage with a run off of that right-hander. It's going to be close. Kozrov will move to the right there to defend. Nice job there by Nimkov. That really parked Rika.
Boy, Nimkov used up every ounce of road and more.
Watching Kozrov there, and I'm curious to know whether he's coming down to gear, and just that gear is a little bit lower ratio than the guys that he's racing around. It kind of, you know, slows him there unless he can get right back to power. When you take that lower gear, you want to be in that sweet spot. Maybe it's just a slightly lower ratio. Obviously, different cars competing against each other, not identical gear ratios in the transmission.
That little exchange, the aggressive move by Nimkov paid off. It gave him a few car lengths again over Rika, so he gets to take a bit of a breath. Up front, it's still Whitmer back up to about 3/4 of a second over his teammate Travis in the classic BMW 235 IRs, in the margin of about 4.5 from Travis back to Nimkov in 3rd right now as you take a look at those two cars from classic BMW.
BMW looking to repeat here this weekend. Had a great win last year with Turner Motorsports when Dane Cameron did a guest appearance and had a podium in one race, and it was a massive battle for the win there. So great for Turner to get a win on home soil, as it was for BMW.
I'll tell you what, that race, that was an opportunity for the fans here to see why Dane Cameron is one of the best in the business, because he did not have the fastest car in that second race. And talk about perfect placement. And Kozarov, boy, something was just not right with Rika as he came out of the downhill, and Kozarov read it beautifully and just went right around the outside.
Yeah, and the concern with the heat on some of these machines, they have like an engine preservation mode, so if you start to get outside the operating temperature window, the electronics will just shut it down. I'm not saying that's what happened right there, but those are some of the factors that come into play with these types of machines.
And Johan just slipping backwards a little bit.
Not good news for him when he can see Kozrov, the guy's leading the championship now 2 positions ahead.
Although he still does have fast lap, Weisberg has not been able to get there.
Yeah, looks like the times are dropping off a little bit as we get later into this race. So certainly this racetrack is getting greasy right now. And Johan Schwartz dives for pit lane.
Yeah, and I think Gino might have an update as to why.
I do, guys. We just talked to Eric Meyer, the crew chief for Johan Schwartz. We were actually laughing about the fact that this is a left turn, left tire track, but as we talked about it, turns out Johan is having a charging problem and will be done for the day. Now, the good news, Johan had the fastest lap time so far and could be starting on pole for tomorrow.
Yeah, it certainly looks like it at this stage, unless that changes and somebody really throws in a late flyer. But when you talk charging problem, that's alternator related probably.
Yeah, and the key is, can they get it fixed for the race what happens a little bit later this afternoon? Not a lot of time here, so.
You see Eric right there. Eric Meyer just gave him the sign. Nope, we're done. And so Johan turns it off. At least he's got past halfway, so he'll get some points, but he's dropped down significantly at this stage.
Could be already there that we may lose the potential pole sitter in both of these touring car events. Weisberg lost it in post for qualifying tech. Maybe Johan Schwartz, if they can't get that car fixed and sorted in the next few hours, he may not be able to assume the pole position for race 2, if he indeed hangs on to it. I don't see anyone getting close to his times, though, here late in the going.
Yeah, nor do I. I mean, it was such a good lap, and there's that West Virginia University shop BMWUSA.com machine forlornly sitting in pit lane. And as Kozarov, uses, that was almost completely off track. That was off-track racing. Couldn't quite get it done, but he has shown his intent.
Yeah, and it's tricky there when you get side by side, because there's like a curvature to the racetrack there, and giving each other enough room. It's not always ideal to identify if you've given a car lane to the other competitor.
Yeah, you just saw the margin, just the blue flash heading out to the left of your screen is Travis. And here comes Nimkov in the green and white BMW.
He takes it in there super shallow there. He's got to be careful there that it just doesn't force him wide mid-corner and allows Kozarov to fill that gap.
He's really done Nimkov has done a superb job when he does shallow up that entry of being patient and putting the car still where it needs to be and not just over driving that corner. But you wonder how long that'll last. You wonder how long Vesco's patience will last.
Oh, he looks to the inside, now gives it up. Nimkov really rolls good speed through there. That BMW can really take some speed through that corner. I think if there's a weak spot on this racetrack, that may be it for Kozarov in terms of where he doesn't quite seem to have the edge that the others around him do. As you can see, he comes back at them pretty quickly.
Well, they just had a little discussion on the radio. When he gets down to the inside earlier this time. He got him by him clearly. Oh!
When Nimkov takes it, there's going to be contact there. There's a rub. Where's Rika? Can he take advantage?
Not quite enough.
Wow, well, Rika's been running that shallow line. See, he was comfortable over on that side of the racetrack. Sometimes when you make a move, you're going into unknown territory. But for Nimkov, he's been running that shallow entry line and just took it in super deep.
You saw there's a little bit of tire to tire, that smoke coming off. That's fortunate that it didn't get into body work.
Well, you stay straight for a little bit there. If you'd been turning a bit more with a bit more steering input, they could probably taken each other out for a spin at least. But got away with it. Good hard racing here.
John Weisberg behind him again, just using all the road more. Ooh, Nimkov, something not quite right. I wonder if he got a cut, if his tire got cut. Oh, and a spin by Rika.
Oh, nearly. Oh, can he hang on? That is a save and a half right there. Here comes Weisberg. He's going to take advantage. So Weisberg up into the top 5 from the back of the grid.
And Kozarov around Nimkov for third.
Rika, I think, just try to clean off his tires.
He's got him junked up.
Trying to feel it out maybe, or just try and clean them off.
Yeah, it does. Weisberg is through, but you can see all the junk coming off of his tires still. So we're under 10 minutes now, actually about 9 left in this one.
Rika settles back in, but so we lost some positions there in that exchange, and it's given our championship leader a podium spot right now. He's got ahead of Nimkov. There he is.
There he is. That was just weird what happened with Nimkov coming down through the from West Bend into the diving turn, way offline.
Yeah.
At first I thought he had a problem and was pitting. Let's go back and take a look at that little touch here.
Veskov's cleared him. Then he goes all the way back to the racing line, and Nimkov said, you know what, you're opening the door like that. This is my normal racing line. Just takes it way in there.
Yeah.
Little brush there between the fenders. Rika looks for a way through. I'm not quite sure why Vesko needed to go back to the racing line. He had the position, nowhere for Nimkov to go, but ultimately now he's got that track position anyway.
Well, and such an abrupt move all the way over and almost dropping the lefts.
Yep.
When they're loaded at about turning. I mean, that could have been a big incident. I don't know if he said, I'm through. I want to now open that radius up as much as I can, but as we sit at 7 minutes and some 40 seconds left, it's a big gap right now, up to.
Look at Weisberg, though. He's
moving
on a charge.
Yeah, it's almost 9 seconds now for Kozerov to try and make up in 7.5. I think, you're clear of Nimkov.
Oh, Weisberg to the inside. He made that look easy.
He sure did.
Boy, oh boy, that MX-5 is just hooked up. Weisberg had the pole, lost it yesterday from the back of the grid. He's up to 4th and looking for more. He potentially has enough time on the board, Greg, to catch Kozerov here for that final podium spot.
Yeah, 58.1 on his last lap. Everybody else around him is running either high 58s or mid 59s.
Wow, look at that. That car looks so much fun through that corner. Just drops the wheel there, the top of the hill. Here we see that moment when Nimkov just lost speed. And look at that save by Rika. I was with you, Greg. I thought he'd gone and just pulled it out nicely.
And Weisberg shoots through. This is going to be interesting. Now, I was just about to say that maybe Kozerov just kind of, all right, I'm here. I'm going to get podium points. Ease back a little bit, but Whitmer's up in the points hunt, and he's leading now, and Weisberg is coming after him in a huge hurry.
Yeah, he really is. He's chasing him down very quickly. A little bit quicker through the sectors, not by much. Kozerov's a canny driver, and he's not going to give this one up easily. You can see Weisberg is coming. He'll know that he was the fastest man in qualifying yesterday. And on a charge from the back of the grid. Kozerov is just trying to minimize the points loss that he'll have to Whitmer, who currently leads this race. Will take 4 points out of that 8-point gap.
Yep.
Doesn't want to drop another couple here and let Weisberg through.
And I'll tell you one thing we've seen with Weisberg in this charge, when he gets to you, he's figured a way to get by you very, very quickly. So, but up front, it is a classic BMW 1-2, and Gino Carini, these guys have played this one to perfection. A little bit of a glitch there, but not for these boys on track.
No,
it's been glitchless.
Yeah, they've been in the groove, and Whitmer's driven the perfect race, but it hasn't come easy. Travis has kept the pressure on his teammate from behind. And that's probably good. I mean, you got to stay focused around this racetrack. It is high speed. If you miss your marks, you can easily get yourself in trouble. So I think having that little bit of intensity with the teammate pushing you will make Whitmer just hit his marks and focus on his lap times and keeping that gap right there.
All right, let's see if we can get back down to Gino again on an update from Classic BMW.
They're definitely on pins and needles here. They've got, two cars, first and second. Carl Whitmer, Matt Travis. The guys are not taking this for granted. They're watching everything, and they're hoping they can come across victorious 1-2 today.
And it does add a little bit of extra pressure when the presenting sponsor of the event is M Power, and you're driving an M. So they're doing everything they can to bring home a nice, be a 1-2 for BMW.
Whitmer will like the fact that Travis on form here because, again, it's all about the championship. He's looking for his first win, wants to eat into that 8-point lead that Vesco currently has. And his teammate is padding that gap, which is exactly what you want.
In that last lap, by the way, Vesco was able to run about 0.3 quicker than Weisberg. So I wonder in that charge, and we've just seen John Weisberg throwing that Redcom Lambs Mazda around, I wonder if the tires have just started to say enough.
Yeah, that's certainly the case, I think. And Schwartz's fast lap is still way out ahead of anyone else. Rika's got a nice one in the books too. He may line up on the front row, the way things are looking right now for the second race here today.
Yeah, 57.5, that's a good point. Boy, that margin had opened up, and then Weisberg now is
every inch of the racetrack. Maybe every 64th of an inch he's looking for.
Heading into West Bend.
You just play a game with yourself, Greg. You're just looking at that tack. You just want to see that exit speed. You know, the RPM just a little bit higher, and you'll gauge it on what you did before. And every time you just try and perfect the corner, and then what you do is try and perfect all of the corners and put that lap time together. The problem is, even when you feel you put together the perfect lap, if the tires aren't there, and even if you're hitting all of your marks, you'll just see, you know what, I just can't quite get it anymore. There's not the grip level left.
Yeah, you can drive a great lap for what the car and the tires are giving you, but if the tires can't give you enough.
That's where the strategy comes in terms of laying down that lap when you've got some clean air. Seen it a couple of times today for pole positions later in the day. So Michael Lewis do it very effectively in the TCR race in the early going, just gapped himself to the leaders and just laid down a really quick one that couldn't be beaten, and Schwartz did it in the early going here.
Into our last 2 minutes of this 5th round of the Pirelli World Challenge Touring Car Championship. Whitmer and Travis, they just continue to circulate. It's always about a half
this
second.
Up front, though.
Yeah,
Travis is close. Close as it's been all day long.
And Weisberg in that lap, running 0.3 quicker than Kozarov, and that margin is closed up. So 2 good battles. And race control confirming white flag. Next time by, we'll start our last lap.
Travis is there. He is hungry. He is feisty. A little bit of traffic up ahead. Will they catch that traffic? Will that be a factor here in a position change?
Yeah, it's Sarah and El Gahanian up front there, and look at the classic BMW guys talking. What do you want to have happen here? You love the 1-2 for Whitmer and the points. That would be sweet. Watch for the white flag as we are going to be starting our final lap.
Traffic may be a little bit too far ahead for them to catch him, but
there
on the other hand, it could be the last couple of corners.
Starting the final lap into Big Bend. They're going to catch that traffic.
It's going to be close.
Yeah. And the margin as Kozarov and Weisberg come through down to 3/4 of a second between Kozarov and Weisberg.
Whitmer is loving what he is not liking what he's seeing, but Travis is loving what he's seeing. They're going to catch these cars.
Whitmer's on the lights. Let me through. The 0-2. Sarah's in a BMW.
Yeah, he doesn't give it to him, though.
Nope. Whitmer's got to try and time it right here.
If he can clear him.
Looks to the inside.
He can't clear him. Sarah doesn't give it to him. What can Travis do? He's going to get a run.
He sure is.
Is there anywhere to go with it? Whitmer clears the lap traffic. Travis cannot.
Down under the front straight. That should be enough for Carl Whitmer. Swings over toward the wall, and the crew, there it is. Great run by Whitmer. Handling what developed in that traffic to perfection. And Kozarov coming through with his 3rd place finish. Tremendous run for him, considering everything that unfolded in the race, where he was at one point, where he came back to. And for John Weisberg, up from the back of the pack, up into 4th, great drive, and Rika hanging on to 5th.
That was a fun race.
It was.
Everyone giving it 1,000,000%. Different strategies involved, or approaches, let's put it that way.
And I'd be interested to see that last run down through under the bridge in the diving turn, because I think when Whitmer got checked up and he finally got inside of Sarah, it looked like he slowed just enough to make Travis have to lift. And I think that's what may have played it. I mean, sometimes you got to play that game.
You do. It's racecraft at the ultimate level here at Lime Rock Park.
Nonetheless, a beautiful victory lap and cool down lap for classic BMW with a 1-2 finish at the Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix of Lime Rock, powered by M. They make their way into the pits, and they put on a great run. Kozarov and Weisberg at the end, a fabulous battle, but really Kozarov, Rika, Nimkov, and Schwartz for a large part of that race. That was fun.
That was really cool to watch, and for Travis, he's going to be pumped. First podium run of the year.
Yeah, congratulations, Matt. And coming after that incident in qualifying, I mean, big shout out there, obviously, to that classic BMW crew, because as Gino said, they bolted that together, never got a chance to test it, and he had a quick race car.
He did, and he put the pressure on this man. Carl Whitmer, he's pumped up, first win of the year, halves the gap to Kozarov in the championship.
Nicely done for the effervescent young man from Montreal. It's a great dynamic there that he and Matt have. Helmets off, balaclavas off, and Gino Carani is standing by.
I am. Let's give Carl a second to put his hat on. Carl, you and I have talked about this a ton. Have you ever had a better, more fun race day in your life?
Absolutely not. And you know what? I owe everything to the guys at Classic. They gave me a car that was perfect, and all I had to do was execute. So big shout out to them.
And so, was there any challenges? I mean, you had some people hounding down on you. You seem to control the race. Tell me the hardest part of today's race.
Yeah, tire management. I mean, Matt was pushing me good, and I mean, his rear-wheel drive experience, towards the end, he had me going, but I just kept my head down. I knew the game plan and just stuck to it.
Outstanding, Carl. Congratulations, buddy. Good job.
Yeah, 3 third-place finishes with a 5th in the second round at Circuit of the Americas, and now a win for Carl Whitmer. And he is going to be enjoying that one for a little bit. Take a look at our results. Matt Travis, as you pointed out, Cal, just a superb run. Vesko Kozarov doing what he needed to do relative to where he started the race and doing a good job. Weisberg in 4th, and Jeff Rika, another solid run up into 5th. For Nimkov, that 6th-place finish really didn't indicate what kind of pace he had, what kind of drive he put in.
Yeah, it was a brilliant day for him, just right in the thick of the battle all day long. And Vesko's canny, though. I mean, he's got the championship lead. He hangs on to it despite, his nearest competitor winning today. But it's going to be a long championship season, which will be well fought.
And do keep in mind, it looks like Johan Schwartz, even with that DNF, he still got past 50% of time, so he'll get some points. He will start on the pole, and that all unfolds just a little bit later this afternoon. And we would sure like to have you come back and join us for that race, which will be the last thing of the day here. So about 5:05 or so, be back with us here on the global web and web stream. We also are going to have a little bit of a break here. We got some qualifying for GT and GTS here at the track, and then at about 3:30 we will be back with you for TCR TCA round 6 of their championship chase. So make sure and stay with us, and if you can't do it on the web stream, you happen to be a member of Sirius, whether you have a radio or use the app, tune in, channel 383 on the radio. The app is channel 983, and it's a free weekend for listening on SiriusXM, so no excuses. Join us, and we look forward to bringing you the call.